The acting chief of the IRS made his first public comments on his agency's targeting of conservatives before the 2012 election. Stephen Miller blames a lack of sensitivity for subjecting groups like the Tea Party to extra scrutiny. President Obama is distancing himself from that scandal that he and members of the administration have been making conservatiers and Tea Partiers a target for years. Remember, enemies, of course, punish your enemies. In fact, there was a lovely one that I can't even repeat from David Axelrod about the Tea Party. I would never even say that out loud. All right, so, Greg.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about the scandal that we have. I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
So the White House now today says that they've known about this for 2 weeks, but nobody told President Obama. But also, why didn't they get in front of the story and try to at least explain it or express some outrage before it just dribbles out at this conference? That doesn't make sense.
That's why it makes me think it's probably worse than they did it in the middle of Benghazi. They did it on a Friday, and they just said, and then they ran. And by the way, these are not investigations. These are targeted assassinations. Who knew the IRS had a drone program? Here's
a question, Eric, that is in the questionnaire to get tax-exempt status. If you wanted that and you were one of these groups and you were sent this questionnaire, it's so long it would take you, basically it's a barrier to entry because nobody would ever be able to fulfill all of this. Here's this one, though. Is there any board member, officer, key employee, or member of their family who was, is, or plans to be a candidate for public office? Please include the nature of each candidacy. Is that, how's that anything but a witch hunt?
Again, if it was done equally on both sides, I have absolutely no problem asking the same question to both conservatives and liberal groups. My problem is that there was targeting on conservative groups. We have conservative Tea Party groups who've come on television and said they would provide the information and then they would come back to them and say, no, we need more, and then we need more, and then we need more, and they would go on and on. A couple quick thoughts, though. 2011, I was pretty vocal against 4 more years of President Obama. I remember this. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but I did get an IRS audit in 2011 for my 2012 for my 2011 tax returns. I'm not sure if there's any correlation.
Oh, there is.
Number 2, I am obviously positive that this broke last Friday. They knew it was there. They knew they had it. They knew it was going to come out, and they said, as we get closer to Benghazi truth, let's do this now. Let's provide a shiny object for the media to go run and chase. So I'm thrilled we're going to stay on Benghazi. And lastly, I got to say this one more time. Look into ProPublica. Look at what this group is. It's a very progressive, liberal-leaning news agency. For them to get Tea Party information, proprietary information on Tea Party groups, it's outrageous. And
does Drudge or Rush Limbaugh not get leaked stuff from the government?
I don't know if they do, but
like what?
The IRS
I mean, what kind of question
proprietary
is that?
information of Tea Party groups, financial information to a liberal group. It's ridiculous.
You know who is finally asking questions is the press. Let's look at this soundbite from today's press briefing, and then we'll have Bob comment.
So you're doing that on good faith, or this is just your assumption?
Because I can tell you that I am not aware of anyone here knowing about it. It would be obviously.
So it's down to your direct knowledge of being aware of anyone here.
Hans, you can ask me if somebody who works
You've asserted something categorically.
No,
I'm trying to understand how you know that.
I am certainly not aware of, and am confident that no one here was involved in this.
Pretty strong statement, Bob, to say I'm confident no one was involved.
Yeah, it is. I wish they'd take the art of dodging a little further. Because one of those things come back and bite you. I mean, I don't, it amazes me when people are on the defensive in Washington why they don't keep their mouths shut. It's amazing to me. But in the meantime, people like me have got to get out and try to somehow figure out a way to dig them out of the hole.
Well, the weird thing is they had time to prepare for this, but I don't know if anyone could prepare for this. This was the soundbite today from Julian Bond, who is the head of the NAACP. His reaction.
I think it's entirely legitimate to look at the Tea Party. I mean, here are a group of people who are admittedly racist, who are overtly political, who tried as best they can to harm President Obama in every way they can. They are the Taliban wing of American politics, and we all ought to be a little worried about them.
Gee, why would anybody think it's okay to go after the Tea Party? Andrea, they're called the Taliban wing of the Conservative
That's right,
Party.
And that's the type of rhetoric we heard all the way into the White House that the media carried the water on. They were the ones reporting on this negative press about the Tea Party that was untrue simply because the Tea Party wanted smaller government. Nancy Pelosi jumped on that bandwagon today. She said this is outrageous. However, we should look into Citizens United and give them even more scrutiny. So even though it's bad, we should continue doing it. But very quickly, to expand on this point, National Organization for Marriage and at least 2 local reporters also targeted. It's the Chicago way. He said he would change D.C. and the way they do business. Boy, has he ever. Completely.
Bob, I'm going to spare you from having a comment on the former chairman of the NAACP, but maybe you'll get a chance later. But Greg, you had a point that...
No, I was just going to say that this is how tolerance turns into fascism. It's because you create a climate, which was created by the media, by academia, by the liberals, that if you're against Obama, you must be a racist. And that gives an implicit approval for persecution. But by the way, I got to defend the Tea Party once again. They are basically your parents. They're dorky, but they're always right. If the media had listened to the Tea Party when they said this was going on, they wouldn't look so foolish now.
I have to ask you, Bob. You said, I wish they would shut up. Why do I have to dig them out? Don't dig them out. Let's get to the truth. Let's find out what really happened so that we can all find it. What's wrong with the truth?
I like Julian Bond, but that's exactly the kind of thing.
No. You said that before the Julian Bond. We're talking about when Jay Carney is defending the White House on the IRS, the AP, Benghazi, Fast and Furious. You say, I got to dig them out. Just shut up. No, don't shut up. Tell us what happened so we can get to the truth.
We're going to
audit you next year, too.
I've been audited. Please, go ahead. Audit away.
And just quickly,
bring it on.
Bob, you said that this is just an isolated incident in Cincinnati or in Cleveland. It looks like, according to the Washington Post, this went right to IRS agents in Washington, D.C. This isn't just
no one talks to anybody.
Office. Yeah.
There's no way to communicate.
I still find it amazing that anybody
directly to D.C.
I just find it amazing that anybody thinks they could pull off something like this without it becoming news.
Well, when you have political protectionism, that's maybe what you think. We have to get